I was still holding the pie when my father told me to leave and never come back. It was Thanksgiving. The turkey wasn't carved. The stuffing was still steaming. But my family, they thought I'd stolen $50,000. How did I go from being their daughter to their #1 suspect? Stay tuned for the shocking twist that turned my family against me, and how I uncovered the truth. If you've ever been betrayed by the people you love most, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe because you won't want to miss how I turned the tables in this unforgettable revenge story. I'm Rachel, 34 years old, a senior forensic accountant who spends my days untangling financial fraud at a corporate level. I'm accustomed to uncovering hidden numbers, identifying misused funds, and exposing dirty secrets. But I never expected to find a secret in my own family. Thanksgiving was always a time of tradition, coming home, seeing my parents, my sister Lisa, my brother-in-law David. I'd leave the city for the small town I grew up in, the drive always feeling the same, foggy mornings, turkey roasting in the oven, the comfort of being around people who knew you best. This Thanksgiving was supposed to be no different. I drove 3 hours to bring Mom her favorite pumpkin pie, the one I'd made using her old recipe. You know, the one with a touch of nutmeg and that half-teaspoon of maple syrup she always swore made all the difference. It was a little ritual I'd held onto every year. And for a moment, it felt like I was still part of the family. But then, as soon as I walked in, everything changed. I stood there with that warm pie in my hands, the smell of cinnamon in the air, thinking I was home. But instead, I found myself standing alone, staring at my family, who looked at me as if I were the criminal. "Give back the $50,000, Rachel," my dad said, and the whole room fell into an awkward silence. I stared at him, pie still in my hands. I thought I had misheard him. There was no way this was real. We hadn't even said grace yet, and my dad was accusing me of stealing from Mom? The turkey wasn't carved, the stuffing wasn't even on the table, and there I was, standing in the middle of the kitchen, a suspect. At first, I thought it was some kind of joke. But no one laughed. Not even my mom, the sweet woman who had baked cookies for me as a kid and soothed all my childhood scrapes with her gentle voice. No, she wouldn't look me in the eye either. Lisa, my older sister, was sitting across the table. Her hands were clasped tightly in her lap, her face pale. Her mascara was streaked, as if she had been crying for hours. But she didn't say a word at first. David, my brother-in-law, didn't even meet my eyes. Instead, he looked at the tablecloth, his fingers nervously tapping on the edge of his napkin. And my dad, he wasn't the kind of man to raise his voice or be dramatic. But that night? He was calm. Cold. "You have until the end of the week," he said. "Then we go to the lawyer." I didn't sit down. I couldn't. I looked down at the pie, Mom's favorite pie, and for a moment, I thought maybe it could explain what was happening. But it didn't. I set it down on the counter, gently, as if it were the one thing that could hold me together right then. "What exactly are you accusing me of?" I asked quietly. It wasn't just the accusation that hit me, it was the way they were all staring at me like I was a criminal. Lisa's tear-streaked face, Mom's silence, David's avoidance, it was all just too much. Lisa finally spoke, and her words hit harder than anything. "Mom's account of $50,000 disappeared last month. Right after you helped her set up online banking." I froze. I had helped Mom set up her online account. Just 4 weeks ago, I had sat down with her, walked her through the security questions, the passwords, the login process. I even sat with her on a Sunday afternoon to help her feel more comfortable going digital. It was supposed to make her life easier, keep her safe from fraud. But somehow, it had all backfired. I tried to process her words. "Are you serious?" I whispered, almost choking on them. "You think I took Mom's money?" David's voice was stiff. We didn't want to believe it, but the bank confirmed the withdrawals. They were done online. No one else had access except you. It was true that I'd been the one to set up Mom's account. But to be accused of stealing from her? How could they think that? The truth hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It wasn't some weird coincidence. They believed it. They believed I was the thief. I glanced at Mom. She didn't even flinch. She didn't nod. She didn't shake her head. She just picked up her napkin and pressed it to her mouth, as though she might throw up. I stood there, pie forgotten on the counter, coat half buttoned, staring at the family I thought I knew. The pie didn't matter. The traffic didn't matter. None of it mattered. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I wasn't family. I was a suspect. I picked up my coat from the chair, my hand still shaking, and I didn't look back. Not once. As I drove away, the streetlights flickered in the foggy night. Thanksgiving night, and the world around me smelled like cinnamon and gravy, but for me? It smelled like betrayal. I checked into a roadside inn, a place I'd passed by a million times but never thought to stop at. The clerk didn't ask why I was there on Thanksgiving. And for that, I was grateful. I sat on the bed, pieced together the night in my mind. I was a senior forensic accountant, trusted with corporate audits, untangling complex frauds, and investigating embezzlements for a living. But my own family had just labeled me the thief. How had it come to this? There had been signs, I realized. Little moments I had brushed off as jokes. Lisa's subtle eye roll when Mom bragged about my promotions. The way Dad had dismissed my career, asking me when I was going to settle down. The comments from David last Christmas when I offered to pay for a new roof on their house, his muttered words about me trying to buy loyalty. I had thought they were just kidding. I'd brushed them off. I had hoped that we were still family. But this was different. They believed I had stolen $50,000 from Mom. Me, a woman who had never once touched her savings, never once asked for a penny. This wasn't about money, it was about something deeper. And I wasn't going to let them get away with it. After I left the house, I felt numb. I didn't scream, didn't cry, and I definitely didn't punch the steering wheel, like in the movies. Instead, I drove, almost mechanically, with the silence of my family's accusations still ringing in my ears. I ended up at a roadside inn, one I'd passed 1,000 times but never had reason to stop at. It wasn't glamorous, but I didn't need luxury right now. I needed clarity. As I sat there on the edge of the bed, my mind raced. They accused me of stealing, of betraying the one person I'd always tried to protect, my mother. The woman who raised me, the woman who had trusted me with her finances. How could they think I would do something like this? Why hadn't they even asked me? And that's when it clicked. They had made up their minds. I was guilty because I was the one closest to her account. I was the one who helped Mom go digital. They didn't want to believe it, but they had already condemned me. But I wasn't just going to sit here and take it. For years, I'd investigated hidden frauds, shell companies, embezzlements. I had spent my career uncovering things people didn't want to be found. But now, I was the one who was being investigated. I knew that if I was going to clear my name, I needed to think like I did at work. Money doesn't just disappear, it gets moved. Redirected. I just had to figure out where it went and who benefited from it. By morning, I was already on my laptop. I had access to everything. I'd worked on corporate fraud cases before, but this was personal. Mom's bank, Greenwell Mutual, had already come up in several elder financial abuse cases we were investigating. I knew I could use the access I had from my work to dig deeper. I messaged Theo, the compliance officer overseeing our case, just asking for a simple set of data, a name, a date range, and a location. Within an hour, I had what I needed: timestamps, withdrawal amounts, and teller logs for the account tied to my mother. 3 withdrawals, spaced 5 days apart. $20,000, $15,000, and $15,000. In person, not online like they had accused me. I wasn't the one who took the money. But who did? I clicked on the link that Theo had sent me. It was a video from the bank's security cameras. The first video loaded, grainy, low resolution, but clear enough to make my blood run cold. A young woman approached the counter at Greenwell Mutual on October 10th. She looked around nervously, glancing over her shoulder. Blonde ponytail. Gray hoodie. Sunglasses. At first, I thought it might be someone hired to impersonate Mom. But then, the girl stepped closer to the camera, pulling down her sunglasses to speak to the teller. The face. I knew that face. Lisa. My sister. The girl who had once asked me to help set up online banking for Mom. The girl who I thought I could trust. There she was, standing at the counter, signing something and handing over what looked like Mom's ID. Lisa was fidgeting, tapping her fingers on the counter nervously, as if trying to act innocent. But I could see the truth, clear as day. She was taking Mom's money. And the worst part? She had planned it all. I couldn't look away as I clicked on the second video. This one was from October 15th, the same branch. The camera captured David, standing confidently at the counter, wearing a navy sweater and jeans. No disguise. No nervous energy. He was calm, collected, and clearly in control. He handed over a check, signed off, and casually walked away. No attempt to hide. No hesitation. This wasn't just random, it was calculated. And in that moment, I understood. It wasn't just Lisa. David had been involved from the start. They had worked together to steal from Mom. They used me, my help setting up her account, as the perfect cover to frame me. But there was still something nagging at me. How did Lisa and David have access to Mom's ID and account information? I racked my brain. Then it hit me. 2 weeks before I helped set up the online banking, Mom had been at the hospital for some outpatient tests. Nothing serious, just routine. Lisa had volunteered to stay overnight with her, and I had no reason to suspect anything unusual. But now, I realized that's when it started. Mom's purse had been left in the room the whole time. Inside was her checkbook, her bank statements, her driver's license, everything they needed to steal from her. I checked the metadata from the online setup. The first login wasn't from Mom's phone. It came from a tablet connected to the home Wi-Fi. The IP address? Lisa's. And the OTP? It was sent to a phone number I didn't recognize. David's phone number. They had been too sloppy. Too arrogant. They thought no one would question the successful daughter. They thought the rest of the family would back them up. I closed my laptop with a quiet snap, the weight of the truth settling over me. This wasn't just about money. This wasn't some innocent mistake. It was fraud. It was planned. And they had used my love for Mom as the perfect smokescreen. I didn't call the police, not yet. But I called Theo again and asked for a few specific things, the teller's signatures and comparison records. Then I grabbed my old black folder, the one I used for courtroom presentations. If they wanted to label me as the criminal, I would show them what a real criminal looked like. On Monday afternoon, I drove back home. The sunlight hit that perfect golden slant, just like it always did between Halloween and Christmas. The same sunlight that used to make the house feel like home. But not today. When I arrived, the driveway was full. Lisa's car. David's SUV. Mom's sedan. They were all inside, hiding from me, pretending like nothing had happened. I parked at the curb, sitting there for a while, hands resting on the leather folder in my lap. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't angry. I was just done. I walked up the porch steps, opened the door, and walked straight into the kitchen where they were all gathered. Lisa perched on the counter with her coffee mug. David leaning against the fridge, arms crossed. Mom stood by the sink, drying dishes. Dad was stirring something on the stove. They all looked up as I walked in. And everything stopped. I walked to the island, set the folder down, and opened it slowly. "You believed I stole from Mom," I said quietly, keeping my voice steady. "Let me show you what really happened." The air shifted. You could feel the tension, the guilt, the realization, as I pulled out the first image, the security footage of Lisa at the bank, nervously signing the withdrawal slip for $20,000. Not online. Not me. You went through mom's stuff? Lisa whispered, finally speaking. You went through mom's, I echoed, leaning in. Then, I laid out the second photo, David at the counter, calm as ever, handing over a check for $15,000. Their faces drained of color. What happened next wasn't just justice, it was the truth coming to light. Sometimes, the people closest to you can hurt you the most. But when they do, you have to be strong enough to fight back. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and let us know in the comments, what's the most shocking betrayal you've ever experienced? Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful revenge stories just like this one.